All right, time to make some drawer fronts.
Last time we completed this giant vanity in our primary bathroom, but a lot has changed since then.
Everything that we've been working on in this bathroom has all been leading towards this. We spent months with structural changes, months with design choices, all to feature this marble. I can't believe we're finally here. This is part 2 of our custom vanity build with Calacatta Monet counters and Shiplap door fronts. Let me show you.
But before we get into this counter, let's talk about these custom Shiplap drawer fronts. So let's rewind a few days and start with cabinet door fabrication. For this project, we're going to be using red oak dimensional lumber. We actually debated a while if we should use red oak or white oak, but we're going to be doing a dark stain on this vanity, so we figured it doesn't really matter. This red oak is 1 inch by 6 inches, and I'm going to be cutting lap joints or rabet joints along the side to join them together to create the width of these doors. But that's later on. Right now I'm just cutting them all down to the correct height. Okay, take a look at this. This is called tear out. It's splintering along the edge of the board. One way to fix it is sanding, but there is a better way, the tape method. The idea behind the tape is it's going to help hold the fibers of the wood in place as the blade cuts through it, in theory preventing the tear out.
Okay, that's a lot less tear out. I think that's gonna work.
Now, 60 cuts to make. Let's take a look how these fit up.
This is S4S lumber and it's supposed to be really straight on all sides. However, sometimes changes from the lumber yard to where you bought it from to your place, they don't end up always perfectly straight. So I have a little gap here in between boards. I need to join it down on my router table. Gotta go with the full size.
The purpose of joining is to completely flatten and straighten one side of the wood. This way, when you push 2 pieces of wood together, there'll be 0 gap. It's possible to joint on a table saw, but the router is going to be much easier. I've got the router mounted, and now I just need a straight cut router bit. Now, setting up the router and the table is just one part of it. You need a router fence that has the capability of doing joining. This fence has these bars that's going to offset the outfeed fence by 1/32 of an inch. Well, we're set up. Let's see how this goes. Let's joint some wood down. Let's test fit. And would you look at that, that's the tight joint I wanted. So where do we go from here? Cutting all our pieces to the correct width on the table saw. This part is absolutely critical. Each piece needs to be cut to 4 17/32 dead on. And my thing is, do I trust the markings on the table saw? I think I need to be more precise. I'm gonna line the teeth of the blade up with the mark I made.
Let's start cutting.
Before I make a bunch of permanent cuts, I need to double check my measurement one last time by backing off. And we're dead on. Let's go.
So this is looking really good. I think the next step is a little organization, and then we can start cutting the lap joints.
So remember, for these shiplap doors, we're gonna have 2 different sizes, a 6-piece door and a 9-piece door. For the joinery, we're gonna be cutting rabets. One of the rabets is gonna be an 1/8 inch longer to create a gap between the pieces like this. The challenge is we need each of these red oak pieces to be the exact same width, and they need to add up to 2 different drawer front sizes. To cut the rabets, I can either use a dado stack or a router bit.
Well, I've never done it with a router before. Let's go with that.
This is a specialty router bit specifically made for cutting rabets. It uses a small bearing on top to adjust the size of the rabet. It mounts like any basic router bit. For the setup, I'm marking the middle of the thickness of the board, then I'm adjusting the top of the router bit to that mark. This way the router will remove exactly half of the board.
I should have started using a router to cut rabets a long time ago.
I can't believe how much more efficient this is than a dado blade. Now, using a dado blade is an essential woodworking skill, but this is really nice. Cutting different rabbet sizes is just super easy with changing out that bearing. I easily changed out that 3/8 inch rabbet bearing to a 1/2 inch rabbet bearing. This is going to work so well for these shiplap door fronts. These are looking really good. Let's do some dry fitting. I love it.
I think we're ready for glue up.
So here's the thing with glue up. We're going to need to clamp down all the shiplap joints with some scrap wood. We're just adding some clear tape to prevent the scrap wood from getting stuck to the doors from the glue. For the glue itself, we have a few different options.
I think Ultimate's gonna match the most.
Let's get these doors glued up. The most important thing here is going to be clamps. Lots of clamps. And a decent amount of glue too. With all my pieces marked, all it takes is getting things somewhat aligned and then clamping in place. I'm not too worried about alignment because I'm going to cut everything to size after this glue dries. What I am worried about is getting all the joints clamped down really tight. And cleaning up any excess glue. It will be sandable later, but I think it's better to clean as much as possible now. Overall, not too bad. That's a wrap on glue up. Day 2. So I still have to cut these to the final size, but first I'm going to do some light sanding. I prefer using a random orbital sander. I think it comes out better than sanding by hand. We're going to be using 120 grit sandpaper for a fine finish. I always use the highest setting on the orbital sander for the smoothest results.
Wow, this is looking really good. I'm always so surprised about how smooth 120 grit really is. Michelle and I are used to the automotive industry where we use 800, 1000 grit to smooth everything out for painting, but this looks really good. Final steps here, I need to joint one side down and then cut the opposite to the final size.
Oh man, this is not good. It looks like it really chipped the corners here. After all that work, I need to remake it.
Wow, I'll be honest, I was pretty bummed out about that door getting messed up last night. I think it's just the nature of the router and the way it rotates, and that being a weak point in the door. I went ahead and remade it, and we're back to square one. I really need to joint that side down though. So what I'm gonna do is create a jig and joint it down on the table saw. Hopefully this works.
In order to cut it on the table saw, I need to create a jointing jig. Honestly, I probably should have done it this way to begin with. But at least we have a solution. This should work fine. There is an issue now though. We're running out of time. Our marble fabricator Brian is going to be here in less than 24 hours to take measurements for our counter. These doors need to be installed to get a good measurement. Due to Michelle and I's work schedule, this appointment cannot be rescheduled. So honestly, we're in a little bit of a hurry. Looks good. Let's get the rest of these cut. Joining is done. Let's cut these doors to the final size. Now I can use my jointed side against the table saw fence and get a perfectly parallel opposite side. This method assures that all my doors come out perfectly square. Well, everything's cut to the correct size. Let's get these doors inside and start installing. I'm thinking to use some quick drying wood glue to temporarily install these doors so I can remove them later for staining. This will allow me to remove the door front later on. The glue dry time is very short, so I have a limited amount of time to adjust these door fronts. We do have one issue though. This glue method is not working. I think I need to actually screw these doors in. Yeah, that's working much better. These doors are really sturdy now. This whole process is time consuming, but it's essential in getting all the gaps between door fronts correct. I'm confident we're going to get everything done tonight as planned. We're almost there. It feels great to be here. This all started with an idea on paper, and now we brought it to life. We got it done just in time for our fabricator to take measurements. It's been a long road here.
Okay, let's talk about this marble. We picked out this marble months ago, Calacatta Monet from Pietrafina here in the Bay Area, and we've been waiting to get to this stage, waiting to complete the vanity so Brian can come here to take measurements. We've been planning for this to be a feature piece in this bathroom a long time now. Well, Brian's here now to make a template. Let's let him get to work.
With the template made, now we wait. We wait for fabrication. We wait for the first time in 2 years. This is the most downtime I'm gonna have in 2 years of renovating this home.
Now that our marble's been transferred over to GM, we need to be involved in this part. This is where we choose where on the marble that we want our counter to be cut from. And we actually have more plans for this marble. We're gonna be using the remainder of it for a shower ledge, and it's gonna be on display along our entire back wall of this bathroom. To us, this marble's like an art piece. Let's get this art piece installed. Wow, I love it.
We're at a major milestone in this bathroom, but we're not done yet. We need to add some push to open. How about some stain on this red oak? And some fixtures would be nice too. We've got lots more ahead. We'll be back soon.